Well, you know, quite often
Jeez.
it can be as simple as it's the beekeeper that causes mean bees by beekeepers slamming their tools around and bumping boxes and
Yeah.
setting an open brood box on the ground instead of on the end, typically mistreating a colony. But that's not really what we want to talk about right
It
now.
isn't. Nectar dearth. Nectar dearth, number one. Starvation. If I'm hungry, I'm grumpy. I'm grumpy.
I thought that
You
was
see?
me.
No, well, that
Okay.
too. That too. A queenless colony very often can
Now
cause a grumpy colony.
that is so important when you see a colony and you learn the conditions that identified as being queenless,
Mhm.
and you think back before I entered that colony, I should have known something was wrong.
Yeah.
I
Because
could
what you hear,
I
you
could hear
heard
the
something.
roar.
You can hear the roar. If you walk up to a colony and you can hear it before you've even stepped foot in front of or beside that hive, you know there's something going on. That's going to be your indicator. Get that smoker ready because
And,
those girls aren't going to be
and
happy.
see, that's the next one. If we had done the smoker first,
Yeah.
beekeeping is based upon utilizing a smoker.
Yeah.
If you look back in history and all the books, you even see beekeepers throughout history using a pipe or capturing smoke off of the fire and
Right.
blowing it over.
Right.
And it's so important to utilize smoke, and that it does calm our
And
bees.
doing it properly, you know, using enough smoke. I think when we were first learning beekeeping, there was a real fine line of not enough or too much. It's really kind of there's a dance there that we learn where we use enough smoke to calm the bees, but not so much smoke that they're like, I got to get out of here. So it really is just use enough, but not too much. So using it properly,
That is
using your
important.
smoker properly.
Sherry and I work bees together an awful lot.
We do.
And when we do, the bees tend to be a lot more aggressive towards me than they do towards her. And we used to say it's because she's so sweet.
That's
And I
right.
still believe that's what it is. But probably more than that is I tend to work the bees and make them madder sometimes when she's not around. And therefore, I've got stingers and pheromone.
Right.
I have some suits that probably should have woodpecker holes in them from having penetrated so much.
Who does that come back on? That means I need to be washing a suit more, but that's a very good pheromone. Alarm pheromone is huge. And so if we worked in our suits over and over and over again, if we did splits in our suits and we did 40 splits that day, we kind of probably got some pheromone on there that's not all that conducive for sweet bees. So think about that and wash your suits periodically, and
That truly is.
doing that in vinegar and water to kind of negate that alarm pheromone can really help.
Well, it surely is. And one of the things that's hard to rationalize as you're coming up as a new beekeeper is that the more successful you are, the more populated your colony is, the more boxes you have there. There's strength in numbers, and honeybees take advantage of that. The larger the population, the likelihood of more aggressiveness is going to be present.
That's
Small
true.
colonies, nuke boxes, single deeps, even a double deep that's growing during a nectar flow. But once it's established and you've got that double deep that you're forced to go to a triple because you don't know what to do with all those bees,
Well,
that's a colony that's going to be tough to find a queen in. If you're trying to go in there, they're going to be aggressive.
you just said the word nectar flow. That's another indicator. Boy, if you get in during a nectar flow, I'm gonna just say don't go in during a nectar flow because the bees aren't going to be happy with
And
you.
isn't that funny? No, don't go in nectar flow. Don't go in nectar dearth.
Right.
When do we get to go into our bees without making them mad?
Well, there's all kinds of time here. Queen genetics. Oh my goodness. I will say that requeening yearly is going to be a huge benefit to keeping from having mean bees. Requeening yearly is a big factor because unhappy bees can be a genetics issue. If they requeen themselves at some point during the year and maybe you weren't aware of it, and that daughter queen that was mated locally wasn't mated with the sweetest of the drones in the neighborhood, so then requeening can be it in order to make your bees a little
It truly
sweeter.
is. Requeening is such an important management tool, and the decision to do so on a regular basis can sure stabilize the genetics of a colony, and that relates directly to the aggressiveness, the defensiveness, or the sweetness of the colony.
That's right.
As well as many other things.
I agree.